Key elements of the constructions are, he also touched on the tunnels, viaducts and underground stations, elevated stations. When it comes to systems, the signaling, telecom, power supply, rolling stocks, compound together, and then operational and maintenance of the system itself. So it's all it's a package of the network itself. Yeah. And then I go straight into key engineering challenges. There are numerous challenges in constructing the metro system. Let me highlight some key challenges, which is a high urban density, which limits area available for work zones. A heavy viaduct construction within a constrained space calls for a high skill, heavy plant equipment movement. When it comes to underground stations itself, tunnels and heavy plant and large tunneling machines are to maneuver through tight spaces, which requires a tremendous skill. In fact, tremendous amount of feasibility studies being done to define the construction methodology and to design out major risks at early stage of the construction. The geology plays a major part in infrastructure construction. Such a substantial amount of soil investigation done. The boreholes are done much earlier to define the ground conditions, design the behavior of the ground when the tunnels are being built or the stations are built. In places where when we do our tunneling areas, the boreholes are sunk every 25 meters to understand how the ground does like to perfectly predict the behavior of the tunnel, behavior of the ground during the construction. During a much earlier stage, they do a factual interpretation report, both together based on the ground conditions to define what's the methodology to be adapted and how and all the costing of it all depends on a much earlier stage based on the soil studies. Then again, when it comes to construction, if you look at all the areas now we're in Chennai, substantial areas being the ground being dug out, utility diversion being done, traffic diversions being done to enable the construction of the foundation for the viaducts. Same time, when you go into the underground area also, there are substantial area of actually utility diversion, road diversion done to enable the stations and the stations and tunnel constructions. For example, when we constructed Changi Airport Station, there were 10 lanes traffic in front of the airport, but we had to divert all the 10 lanes well before we commence the major excavation, so the major excavation can flow uninterruptedly. And we actually had done that with another contractor to make it easier for the construction to be done when the main construction starts. The interface management also another key element. Effective coordination between the civil engineering works and the systems are very much important. Such coordination shall continue throughout from the design stage all the way during the construction as well. Again, this could prove to be a challenging because there are 10 contractors working under one umbrella and all have to work hand in hand to make sure that the operations can commence and operation can be smoothly done. Yeah, this is very much so important. The interface are done. Let me give some interesting challenges I have faced during my journey in British Rail. Going into the another Waterloo International Terminal, when there was a link between France and UK, the train comes to UK at Dover. From Dover, initially it was actually connected to the Waterloo International Terminal. And then my job was to actually be the very fastest connection from Waterloo Terminal, British Rail, into the underground network, which is metro system. So I actually had to do an entirely complex system because there was no space available. I was given a couple of rooms only to design and then manage the construction. So the entire work had to be done using hand mining. And then if you look at this area, that there are two big boxes, which is a 7.5 meter diameter sloping tunnel had to be constructed in hand mining, and then linking with the live operational Northern Rhine Railway in three locations, the three bridge, three locations, and then we cut across the live railway into in between the tunnels to form escalator into the platform. So all the work's been done, hand mining. So that was a truly challenging mining operation I ever done. Then moving into another major project, Jubilee Line at Green Park, directly behind the St. James's Palace in London, West End. This is literally cutting across west to east and linking to the north Jubilee Line project. Okay, this was a challenge. In 5 places you cut across the and across the River Thames. Also, there were areas where we went through the granular, sandy, so difficult ground conditions. And it was successfully finished before I left London to Singapore. I can see the photograph down below. All those days, the tunnels were done in steel, it's Fresnel graphite irons, and before the time it was done in cast iron lines. Then we are still using, where we have a very bad ground condition, we still using the steel as our construction material. We go into Changi Airport Station. As we know that Changi Airport has been voted as one of the best airport or the best airport in the Far East Asia for a few years. One second. If you look at there's no columns or beams on the sides. That was the ministry's requirement for us that the the fresh air, sorry, the daylight should come all the way down to the platform. So that too, the final project I was in before I left to Singapore was between 6 and 8 lane underground tunnel for the roads, and also the viaduct as well, right across from south to north, and then to link with Malaysia. And that this section also very challenging one when we go above the viaduct, right over the existing what do you call it, highway, and underground also tedious exercises we had to do. One of them was that the existing viaduct train viaducts piling, some of them piles were clashing with our tunnel. So I had to underpin quite substantial numbers of viaducts and jacked up the viaduct while train operation. We then removed, cut the piles, and then complete underpinning completed without any effect to the railway operations. But that was a tremendous amount of to 2023 here in Chennai. As you can see, from Pundamalli to Lighthouse, a substantial amount is in elevator structure from what do you do, T Nagar all the way to Lighthouse in the underground. And we actually have the underground works are well underway, and then we are using 4 machines to cut it. Okay, that the most challenging there and the underground section was to the ground condition itself. When you leave the lighthouse, the ground, we were only 4 or 5 meters below ground for the TBM, and there is a granular beach sand and gravelly sand. So it was very challenging for us to actually maintain a steady tunneling operation from Lighthouse. But again, now we are almost completing one stretch in another month or so, and we are happy that that area, the challenge has been successfully completed. When you come to the viaduct section, as you can see, that we have a substantially. If you look at the Khatipara, we are actually doing you can see the green, bluer section there, which is the balance cantilever. There's no other way of constructing them. We actually construct the formwork, shifting the formwork and casting it. We are planning to finish it before the end of this year. All the Khatipara section will be completed. That's a real challenging. And the other one is that steel structure here over the road structure, over the existing roads. And again, we are using balance. The launching girders are being used on 3 contracts. We only no other way of actually lifting them and have the other confined space. As you can see, the areas where we are doing them along our sections, you should be able to witness it now, how tight the road, the area available for the construction. Okay, now when you come to the risk of constructing major underground stations, we can see Nickel Highway collapse in Singapore a long time back. This actually introduced extremely tighter safety control measures in Singapore. Very similar happened in the UK when we had the fire that made the UK safety standard completely changed, more tight again from that time on. But very similar also in Singapore, the system of operational system of checking process and whatever drastically changed in that time. But these are some of the classic example of failure can happen. How vigilant we should be.